It was just a dream she'd always had, was to open her own restaurant.
Helen Alcala was a true trailblazer in Buda.
In 1980, she had retired from the school system. She had worked there, I don't know how many years, pretty long time.
After retiring as a cafeteria worker for Hayes CISD, Helen decided that she wanted to start a new chapter. Her son Rene Alcala got a big surprise when he came home after getting out of the Navy in July of 1980.
When I got home, she said, yeah, we decided to open up a restaurant.
Helen started her business with her brother-in-law, and that is how Helen's Casa Alde, Buda's first Mexican food restaurant, was born.
My uncle, Z. De Leon from Kyle and her, and my dad was there, but he was mostly talking to the customers. That was his forte. They decided they wanted to open up a restaurant. Luckily, back then some of the buildings in Buda were vacant. She rented a spot there right on Main Street. That's where we stayed for 40 years, almost 40 years. Like our last name is Alcala, and their last name is De Leon. So they took the first two letters of each family name and put them together. It became Alde.
Born and raised in Buda, Helen married Pete Alcala and raised 3 children in this home on Main Street, which is now the Little House on Main business.
One of the things that she told me, she would say very proudly, JR, I lived in this town pretty much all my life. I raised my family and my kids here. But what I'm proud of is we were the first Mexican family to live in the city limits. And she really was. At that time, she was the first Hispanic Mexican-American family to be in the city limits.
J.R. Gonzalez, executive director of the Buda Area Chamber of Commerce, started a tradition of throwing Helen a big birthday bash when she turned 90 years old. This is a video from her 93rd birthday celebration.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
But those were some wonderful times, and Helen was so happy during those times, and the community came out. Generations of people came out to wish Helen a happy birthday for all she's done for so many people.
Helen passed away on June 11th, 2017, at the age of 93. Thinking back on her legacy, she was a pioneer for Hispanic business owners and women alike.
When you think about it, not only was she Hispanic, not only was she female, this was the 80s, barely the 80s. And on top of all that, she was 57 years old when she first opened the restaurant. But she probably worked at least 30 years more at the restaurant. And I say this all the time about she probably would have worked until the day she died if we would have let her. She would go into work so early, like 4 a.m. and start making tortillas. And then she would go home about 2 in the afternoon, rest up, and come back again at 5 and reopen the restaurant. So I'm sure that takes a toll on you, day after day after day.
Even when she could no longer work and had to use a walker, she was still ready to jump in.
I had just mentioned to her that the dishwasher didn't show up for work that day. And she said, you want me to do it? I said, no, Mom, that's not what I told you. I mean, we're fine. We'll get by just fine. She said, I think you can do it. And she says, she really, I promise you, she would have done it if we just said, yeah, jump on in there. But no, we didn't let her. She would still come in and wrap silverware and napkins and say hello to everybody and even make a round or two in the restaurant.
And to Helen, her customers were like family.
And she just basically had a love for her customers, and I really think that was mutual, because you could just see the way she was with her customers and the way her customers were with her.
In March of this year, Helen's Casa Alde suffered a major setback when a fire broke out, destroying the inside of the building. The restaurant was a total loss.
That awful night that the restaurant did have the fire, when I came up on the hill coming up into Buda, I could see the flames were just big, they were huge. And the first thought that crossed my mind was, I'm sorry, Mom. I'm very sorry, because I just know that would have broken her heart. You put so much into something, and you value what you put into it.
Today, Helen's has returned in the form of a food truck, and business is thriving.
She would definitely want the Casa Alde name to continue. She was always real resilient, you know, about anything, you know, anything that happened, setbacks, this or that. She was always, you know, she always kept a good attitude. I never really saw her despondent.
Helen's legacy lives on through her business, her family, and the memories she left behind.
I've never heard anybody say anything negative about her. You know, she just had a way of connecting with people that really put her on a different level, different plane.
She has fed generations of people, and she'll, in my heart and in the heart of a lot of others, she'll always be loved, revered, and remembered.